to a brand new episode of Coming Distractions brought to you by the Nerdpocalypse podcast. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Cam.
What's up, guys?
All right, we're back. We're going to talk about Dark Phoenix. This is the last Fox X-Men movie. It is 19 years in the making. The basic premise, if you aren't already aware, this is basically the same story as X-Men 3 Last Stand, which is Jean Grey, played by Sophie Turner in this one, is infected, I guess you could say, with the Phoenix Force, this mythical fucking space object. And she has these crazy powers, and she gets really sad and upset and goes on a rampage, and the rest of the X-Men try to stop her to get their friend back. Cam, you drove many hours all the way from Tennessee to come see this movie along with me. What did you think of this movie?
I thought it was a masterpiece. I've never seen a better... you know what? I'll even throw the MCU in there. Never seen a better comic book adaptation of a story. It was perfection in every way. No, seriously, this movie sucked. It was really bad.
Yeah, it was pretty horrible.
It's slightly a notch above Apocalypse. I guess.
Agree to disagree. I thought this movie does... So this movie is written and directed by Simon Kinberg, who only wrote previous X-Men movies. He did do some stand-in shooting and directing for the latest Fantastic Four movie, if you remember that. Yeah, you're going to need that. And so Simon Kinberg has never really directed anything from start to finish. This is his first time.
And I would say that it shows, but that would imply that Bryan Singer had done a good job directing any of the other movies, really.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I was thinking about that today. Like, this is Simon Kinberg doing the shittiest impression of a Bryan Singer directing job, which is already really bad.
Yeah.
This movie feels incredibly bland to me. I didn't find that it had any oomph to it. Like, so that sort of last third of Fantastic Four, if for those who saw that one, the most recent one, it felt really empty and kind of dead, and it was just kind of rolling along, like the lines were being said, but no one was saying it with any level of passion. Now I realize that wasn't a Josh Trank thing. That was a Simon Kinberg thing. Like, he doesn't know how to pull performances out of people, even with I think pretty great talent in this movie. There is none. There is zero.
Yeah, it's really weird because the movie moves at a clip. Like, I didn't notice how fast the movie was going.
Yeah,
at the time. Like, it's not like it's a boring slog. I mean, it's boring, but it's not like it's a slog to get through.
Right.
Like, you get to the end of the movie and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Well, yeah, it's over. But yeah, the entire time you're getting there, just nothing happens, really.
Yeah. That's probably the best way to put it. I think it is incredibly boring but it moves fast enough, right? And you're just like, oh, we're at the end. Oh, thank God. Like, let's just wrap this up. Let's go. So the general premise obviously is the same as X-Men 3 Last Stand, but it's like Simon Kinberg, who wrote that movie and wrote this movie, he just took his script from X3 and was just like, well, let me change this one thing here. And let me change this character to this character. But it's really the same exact story. Now, I don't mean the same exact overarching story. Obviously, that is true. I mean the same movie. It's the same movie.
Yeah, it's basically like Simon Kinberg is somehow the bully to Simon Kinberg, who's changing his homework just a little bit so he doesn't get in trouble for copying it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And it doesn't make any sense, my man, because you're the same person.
Right, you could do whatever you want, but it just goes to show you Kinberg learned nothing from X3.
No, all he learned is how to, once again, put in obscure mutants and not name them.
Again, like he did in X3.
And not name them at all, and really infuriate me with one of them, which we'll get into. But yeah, he just... I mean, you can say that at least it does appear as though he read a comic book for this one.
Sure.
Because there are some elements that exist in this story that were elements of the comic book property of the Dark Phoenix saga.
Right.
They're not elements that make sense in any way, shape, or form, really.
No.
But they're there, and it's like one of those things where it's almost like he watches Marvel movies and sees what they do, where they add in, like a character or a moment from a comic book story, and he's like, I can do that too. Right. But like a really shitty version of it.
Yeah,
100%. Where like Marvel like mentions Agent Braddock in Endgame in the flashback sequence, and like you might not even catch it, but when it's there, you're like, oh man, that might be Brian Braddock. Yeah. But no, this dum-dum like picked some like thing that nobody knows.
Right.
Like I know the Phoenix Saga very well. And I had to Google this shit afterwards because I forgot that was the thing.
Well, because it's completely inconsequential to the actual story, right?
Right. No, it doesn't matter at all because they don't do it in a way where it would actually make sense.
Right. I 100% agree with that. And so that brings us to people are wondering who Jessica Chastain's character is. I won't ruin who that is. We're going to do a spoiler review, so watch for that.
It's no one that we thought it was.
Right. Well, that's very true.
They definitely kept that under wraps.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Right. Like it's the worst kept secret. Nobody gives a shit. So we'll get into that in our spoiler review, which will be out 2 days after this goes live. But what is interesting is Kinberg, I just, like, it really bothered me over the last, 24 hours as I'm thinking about after we saw this. Like, down to, like you mentioned, the no-name mutants. Like, they're literally the same as in X-Men 3. They're no-name people of color that just have random tattoos to show that they're bad or whatever, and they're just Magneto's backup. Like, they don't have... And the people they're based on, those aren't their powers. Like, they're just random.
No.
They're completely random.
No, and again, one of the characters in that is actually a pretty good character if you use her properly.
Right.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
But that's not what they do. They don't even name these characters.
No.
Like I hate him so much. I want to punch him in his stupid face so much.
So let's talk about performances.
Okay.
I personally did not think for what it was, I didn't think Sophie Turner was bad. I thought she actually was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought Sophie Turner was good. I thought Ty Sheridan was actually weirdly good as Cyclops.
I thought he was okay.
Like, as far as better than he was in Apocalypse.
Yes, they gave him a little bit more to do this time around. Absolutely. And I think he's gotten older, too, so that helps his acting ability. Like, this movie does not... I don't think it personally hinges on Sophie Turner's portrayal as Jean Grey at all, even though it is very much her story. It is her story, but there's a harder focus on another character who I thought, by the way, not a huge fan of James McAvoy's Professor X. I just never have been. I just haven't. I don't think James McAvoy is a bad actor. I think he's actually quite good. I just never found him to be Professor X to me, right? Now, granted, he's got massive shoes to fill coming off of Patrick Stewart. This movie, I finally felt like, oh, there's Professor X. Like, it finally felt like he had somehow nailed that character in the third time he played him. Right?
Yeah, and he'll never play him again, and it'll be amazing.
Right.
But no, I really, I felt like James McAvoy did, as you said, I felt like he did a good job.
Fourth time playing.
Yeah, I felt like he did a good job. I just felt like most people, listen, Jessica Chastain collected a check.
No, she could give a shit to be in this movie.
She could not have cared less about what she was doing. It was abundantly clear on her face, in her voice.
Who am I?
When she read that script, she was like, I don't know who this character is. Nobody knows who this character is. Sure. How much are you paying me?
Right.
Is that check clear?
Yeah.
Is it in my bank account?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I guess we're doing this.
Yeah, Jessica Chastain had a boat payment due, and she did it.
This was absolutely... She needed to remodel her kitchen or something, so she did this movie.
Yeah.
And so did almost everyone else in the cast.
Like, again, the weird thing is Michael Fassbender is putting his all into a movie that he does not need to.
No, yeah,
which drives me crazy. I'm like, pick better movies.
Yeah,
you're a much better actor than this.
For keeping things consistent, you suck, Brad.
Yes.
But Fassbender, it's like no one told him that nobody else cared. Like,
yeah, he gives a shit way too much.
Yeah, he absolutely put in a good performance as Magneto for really the limited screen time that he had, because
he's not in it that much.
Outside of like McAvoy and Jean Grey and of course Jessica Chastain, there's not really a lot of people who get a lot of shine in this movie.
Yeah, what's the name gets a decent more than he's ever gotten in these other movies is Nicholas Hoult.
Beast is definitely in it, and with good reason.
Yeah,
as we'll get into in the spoiler review for sure.
Right, but
he's not good.
No, I don't like his Beast at all.
I never have. He's not good. Like, he's not good. It doesn't look good. Like, we talked about, I can't remember if it was before the movie or after the movie, but we just never want to see a practical effect Beast ever again.
No, let it go.
Because it's the dumbest idea.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
It doesn't need to be.
Yeah,
it just doesn't need to be at all. No. Just CGI it. You have the technology and the money. Just do that.
Yeah, and then you can actually do it really well. You can actually do it very, very well. I just didn't care. Like, the action sequences, they had no oomph. Like, they didn't have no oomph. Like, the space rescue scene, it never felt like, wow, this is really important. They do this thing in the movie that drove me crazy. This is not really a spoiler. This is kind of obvious from the trailer. But they do this thing where they kind of play to the exact opposite of what the X-Men comics really are, which is they're greeted as like heroes. Like, oh, the X-Men, they're so awesome, they're great. No, but they're not the Avengers. Like, they're not.
And they shouldn't be.
Right. That is not their story. And it's okay that it's not their story. But I feel like it feels like when actors get roles of bad guys. Perfect example, The Rock playing Black Adam. When he talks about the role, he wants Black Adam to just be a regular hero. And he's like, well, maybe he's an anti-hero and da-da-da. No, dude, he's a villain.
He's never playing Black Adam. That's never going to happen. That's never going to happen.
But like, in that same way that he is desperately trying to smash that character into something it's not, they're desperately trying to smash the X-Men into something that they're not. They're just simply not those characters. So it comes off as really weird. Right. But like, again, the action sequences, there are really three main action sequences, right? There's one in each act. Mm-hmm. And I just was not blown away by them. Like, I didn't think the Phoenix Force's powers were shown to be particularly all that interesting. I didn't think that the ultimate bad guys were interesting. They were generic as hell. And look,
I think that's a disservice to the word generic.
Yeah, well, you're not probably wrong about that. And honestly, the best comparison I can give for this movie is this is Venom. Like, this is the same. It literally ends in the same, not exactly the end, but the last fight sequence is the same as Venom is. Two characters CGI'd into a ball of trash, floating and just pulling at each other. Like, it was bad. It felt empty. A lot of times the movie felt like a bottle film because there's so few people on screen. Mm-hmm. Like, this is supposed to be the X-Men. It's supposed to be... No, there's a school of all these kids, but for so many scenes, there's like 4 people in a scene. And those are the only people talking for 25 minutes. It's really weird.
It's like that joke, and it's a joke in Deadpool. Like, this giant house, and we only ever see the 2 of you. Like, it's a joke in Deadpool. It's real in this movie, though.
It really
is. Have all of the actors on set. Like, they have them there. They're a captive audience. They can just be like, hey, come to set and be in this scene. But there's, I mean, other than like the little kids who nobody knows who those kids
they're
are.
Generic kids.
Although, when we get to the spoiler section at the very end of the movie, I have a gripe about what one of those kids looks like, and I swear on all that is holy, if I look up the IMDb and he's listed as this character, I will find Kinberg and I will throat punch him. But yeah, I mean, like, other than the scenes with all the little no-name kids who no one really cares about because they just exist to fill up a screen. Right. Other than those scenes, I don't think there's ever more than 5 or 6 people in a scene together, even in the mansion where all of the X-Men live.
Right. It's really weird. Like, it is clear that when they did the reshoots, it was like, we only have money for you, and you. Everyone else stay home. Like, it's clear. It's super clear. Yeah. And it feels very odd. look, Jennifer Lawrence is in this. We haven't mentioned her yet. She don't want to be there. She don't want to be there. Dude, she don't want to be there. Man. What you think is going to happen to her absolutely happens to her. I'll just leave it at that. Yep. She don't want to be there.
No, she didn't want to be there. Quicksilver didn't want to be there.
No.
Like he didn't want to be there so bad. And again, not really a spoiler. He didn't want to be there so bad. They don't even use a song for his stupid, like, slow motion scene.
Yeah,
they didn't even bother spending money to buy the rights to do Smells Like Teen Spirit or anything like that. They just went, nope, this scene is 20 seconds long. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. No, that dude's like, my star is on the rise. I don't need to be here for this shit.
That dude is like, yo, I'm in like 3 different FX shows right now. Yeah. I need to get back to work on things that actually matter.
Yeah. No, like, it feels just as disjointed as Justice League did, like after all those reshoots. It feels just as disjointed as this. Like, I have a lot of issues with the X-Men franchise over the course of this 19 years run. This is absolutely an offensive way for this to end. Like, it really is.
Yeah,
frankly, you should have ended it with Apocalypse. You should have.
Yeah, it's the culmination of 19 years of movies. And I don't know how many actual movies they made because I don't care. But it's the culmination of 19 years of movies.
7? And, well, no, then the Wolverine movie. No,
and like this is like 10, this is what you've accomplished.
Nothing.
Like I mean, just the wettest of wet fart endings that you could ever possibly have to a franchise.
The funny thing is, one thing is very obvious, and I think we'll kind of leave it here. One thing is very obvious. Simon Kinberg spends a lot of his time watching other comic book movies because he takes elements from all of them. And when I say elements, I mean, I'm going to whole cloth lift this scene from The Dark Knight Rises. I'm going to just rip it right out of that movie, and I'm going to put it in there because those movies were popular, and if I put those elements into my movie, then my movie will be popular. But here's the thing. Those scenes don't narratively make any sense in your movie. And it is very obvious what he wants. Like, you can watch the movie and go, that's from that movie. That's from that movie. That's from your old movie. That's from your old movie. That's from another movie. Stop doing that. Like, you can see how cheaply it is. Just, it is a shitty erector set of a movie of just like, we'll put these little things together and maybe it'll stand. I don't know.
Yeah. But much like Venom, it feels like a movie that was made in 2004 at the latest.
That is 100% true. Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't feel like a movie that was actually shot in, I mean, what was it, shot in 2018? 2017, something like that?
Yeah. It doesn't
feel like a movie that was shot for a modern audience. It just doesn't.
It feels very cheap. It feels like, oh, they'll go watch anything. That's what it screams to me.
Yeah. And also, I don't know what original ending that they had that they said that they had to reshoot because it was too similar. But there's no way that was actually a good decision because this ending is really bad.
It's really bad. Yeah. That last fight sequence on the train? No, it isn't good. It isn't good at all. And the person who wrote to me when I said that the clip that they released that we talked about on the show, them going to space, it's way more elaborate than the clip that they showed. No, it isn't.
No, it's not.
No, it isn't. The stuff after that clip, yes, is more elaborate, the actual rescue, but the clip they showed is pretty much, minus like one line of dialogue, is exactly the same. It's a hard clip from like, we're going to space. Boom, hard clip in space. You're like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what is going on? And it's clear that they were just running. They're like, yo, we got $50 left for today. Like, these reshoots, we don't have time for this. Let's go. And it's clear. It is absolutely clear that this is a budgetary decision. Yeah. I don't know why they put it out in theaters, honestly. I truly don't.
I mean,
it costs enough, so I guess that's the reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, you can just tell, Kevin Feige watched this movie, laughed as hard or harder than we did while watching it, and just went, whatever, put it out. I don't care. Yeah. We're not going to promote it. We're not putting any money in the marketing. Put it out, get whatever we can for it, and then scrap this shit so I can make some good movies.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever budget they're using, they're going to use that to make proper costumes for the real X-Men when they come in the MCU. Yeah, this is a fail. Like this is an absolute fail.
Yeah.
Do you have a score out of 5 before we get out of here?
So a guy who I don't always agree with, Dave Meltzer, he scores wrestling matches and wrestling shows. And when something is really bad, like it's out of 5, but when something is really bad, he will go into negative stars. Okay. So I will absolutely steal that from Dave Meltzer, and I'm going negative 37 stars.
Wow. I'm not going to go negative stars, but I'm not going to be kind to it.
No.
It's a half a star out of 5. It's horrible. And
that's generous.
Yeah, I honestly I think it is. But it proves that just because it's a comic book movie and just because it has the Marvel logo in front, that doesn't make it a real Marvel movie. Like, it just doesn't. And it goes to show you that Fox, truly, in the modern, like these last 4 movies, they never had a fucking clue what they were doing. They never did. And I stand by that. So, half a star out of 5, a negative 36?
37.
37. Okay, yeah. I want to give you all your stars.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, absolutely. It deserves all of them.
Yeah, it does. Wow. It is bad. So it is, people were asking, is it going to be the new Fantastic Four? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's not worse than that movie.
No. That Fantastic Four movie is...
That is the worst.
It's worse.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Yeah. But this is the modern replacement for that. Like, it's pretty horrible. So that's it for us for Dark Phoenix. And look for our spoiler review where we'll get into all the things that were incredibly infuriating in a couple of days. And we'll see you guys next time.
See you.
Bye. You're watching the Nerdpocalypse YouTube channel. Make sure you click that button to subscribe and check out our weekly podcast where we talk about movie, TV, news, tech, and weird stories from around the internet.